You don't paint something without wiping.
Honestly. Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. And I'm down in the South Island, sunny South Island in New Zealand, heading my way back north after covering probably nearly 4,000 kilometres in the old ute. And I'm now in Culverden, heading across country, northwest to Nelson. A few more days to go, and then I'll be home back in the workshop. Now, this is the very first video pie review, and Culverden has a very famous bakery, believe it or not, called the Culverden Bakery, hence the thumbnail. And I've picked up a Southern Man pie from that bakery because it was strongly recommended to me via a number of different friends. Now, it appears the pie is quite greasy. Look at that. So we're going to dig in and see what it's like. It's still warm, only got it a few minutes ago. So here we go. Wow, look at that. This is going to fill me up, isn't it? So, quick spin around, see on check the old integrity, make sure it's properly sealed. Now remember, on these reviews we've got to cover a number of different aspects, not just the taste of the pie. We're going to be covering the taste stroke flavour, structure, fall apartness, because you know that's very important if you plan to eat the pie whilst driving. Your choice, not mine. The runnability, you know, does the contents ooze out and go everywhere? That's a really bad. Well, it is just really bad. It goes off your fingers, your shirt, your trousers, the car seat. It just gets everywhere. Meat quality is very important. We don't want to be buying a pie that's crap, do we? To be fair. The filling to crust ratio. Well, some pies are nothing but pastry with very small amount of internal filling. That's no good. It's not what we want, is it? Availability logistics. Well, that's critical because it could be the best pie in the world, but it could be available only on the moon, and that's no good to anybody, is it? So they're going to get a score based out of 10 on each of these categories, plus a few more. And if it was on the moon, then it'll probably get a 0 because it's not really accessible to very many of us. So, what else have we got to cover? We've got to cover the still tasty when cold. You know, you get that phone call, you've got to stop eating your pie, and then it's cold. And if it doesn't taste very nice when it's cold, it goes in the bin, doesn't it? You know, you're not going to struggle your way through something that doesn't taste very nice. Now, also packaging design, quite important. You know, if you're down at a strip club and the chick has got nothing on at all, that sometimes is not as good as if she's got just a little bit on. So packaging design has got a lot to do with how the goods are presented. In this case, it's not particularly good, is it? Big patch of grease on the outside of your bag. It doesn't pave well for the experience. Now then, recyclable score. You know, the packaging, can it be recycled? That's very important. Some packaging we've come across just can't. Ends up being landfill, and that's bad for the environment and the polar bears. Post pie heartburn. That's not very good. You don't want to eat a great pie and then have to suffer for the next 2 hours because you've got heartburn. Stuffability score, well, that's self-explanatory. And of course we have the final one, the final category that Simon Rawle in the UK put forward, the notion, which is the pie server attractiveness. Now that goes, sort of delves into the whole experience of eating the pie and the environment that you're in. And I believe that's very important. You know, you can be at home and have a pint out of the fridge. It's all right. You can go down to your local pub and the wench behind the bar, you know, will pour you the pint, and during that time you're taking in all the views, both of them, and that adds to the experience, doesn't it? So we'll find out what the pie server got this time round. Okay, here we go. Taste stroke flavour. It's a big pie. There's some serious weight to this pie, to be honest. I'm going to be pretty stuffed by the end of it, I'm sure. Oh, quick look underneath. There you go, look. You can see that. It's actually quite hard. That's a good thing. Right, here we go. That's pretty good. Nobody here knows I'm doing a video. Maybe. I don't know. So there you go, this is the inside. Hopefully you can see that okay. It's actually pretty good. There's some big chunks of meat in there. It is quite tasty, but it's also quite greasy, and I'm not into greasy pies, to be honest. So it's got your beef in there. It appears we've got some egg, and on the top is some cheese. A lot of cheese, hence probably where the grease came from. Because the underside is not really greasy at all, it's just coming from the lid. Normally my go-to pie is a steak and cheese, but this was recommended to me, so I thought, well, we'll give it a go. We'll see how it turns out. So there you go, look. Full-on view of the internals. Not too sure if the camera's focusing very well at the moment, given the fact we're outside. Seems to work a lot better in the workshop. Wow. Okay. We're about a third the way in. We better start scoring this. So the taste stroke flavour. How good is it? It's alright. It's not, wow, this is an amazing pie. It's okay, in my opinion. It's alright. I'm going to give them a 7. I think they're okay there. It may, you know, these scores may change as I dig deeper into the pie. We'll see. Structure Foley partners. Well, this is a really critical part of this test, because a lot of the Kiwis, a lot of the people in New Zealand that buy pies tend to eat them when they're driving the car or the truck, because they're on a mission. They need to get somewhere, and it's just there, the pie is there just to fill them up and keep them going. Bit of sustenance, and they don't want to waste a lot of time hanging around. So Structure Foley partners, it's holding together quite well. I've found that I'm only really using one hand to eat it. I don't have to hold the whole thing together, what we found with some other pies. So I think it's doing okay. Yeah, the bonding is doing quite well. So let's give them an 8. No, let's give them a 9. I think a 9. It's actually pretty good. Now the runnability score, 45-degree angle. Let's see if any of the contents ooze out, because you know you're busy concentrating on driving and you've forgotten to keep your pie in a sensible angle, and all of a sudden the contents start to run out like it's a soup. That's not good. This one is actually coping extremely well. As you can see, nothing's falling out. Well done, Southern Man Pie. Good job. So I reckon we should give them a 9 for that as well. Super. Now, meat quality. You don't want crappy meat in your pie, do you? So we'll pull a piece of meat out. There we go. Oh, it tastes very much like your beef stew kind of meat. It's not steak, that's for sure. It's not premium. It's okay. Meat quality. I'll give them a 6. It was a reasonable chunk of meat, and there's a few more in there as well. Okay, filling to crust ratio. Well, there's a lot of filling. There really is one hell of a lot of filling in there. So I think that's pretty good, actually. I don't think you get much better than that. Let's give them an 8 for that. Yeah, there is quite a lot of pastry around the ends here, look, which makes it quite gooey. But other than that, very, very good. The pastry along the bottom is very, very thin and super strong, which is really good. Availability of logistics. Well, we did sort of cover this right at the start. There's only one shop in New Zealand that sells this pie. As a result, if you want a Southern pie from the Culverden bakery, you have to come to Culverden, and you have to go to the Culverden bakery. You can't buy them online, you can't buy them anywhere else. You've got to come here. And if you're in Kaitaia at the time, that's a very long drive. It would take you like 3 days to get there. It's ridiculous. So, a low score, not readily available. They only get a 1. Now, pastry taste rating. So I want to avoid the cheesy bits. We'll just get a bit of pastry off this. Oh geez, I might have to cut it down a bit. Hang on. Okay, so we have just a piece of pastry. There's nothing else on there. It's just the pastry. I'm going to clean my palette. A bit of water. All clear. Here goes the pastry, and this is a combination of quite crispy pastry on the outside, and it is actually quite gooey on the inside. So a very good test piece. And what we're testing for is any kind of weird flavours after it's gone down, the aftertaste. It was reasonably crunchy going in. It does sort of turn into a bit of a goo though at the end of it. It's not very inspiring. I'm going to give him a 4 for that. I've had worse, but I've had a lot better, believe me. Okay, so still tasty when cold. Well, it's a bit early yet. It's just still a bit warm. It's quite a big pie. It's holding, well, it's got excellent thermal retention. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that one. Now, packaging design. This is the bag. And in all honesty, it's just an off-the-shelf brown paper bag. There has been absolutely zero thought gone into the design of this, other than making it a bag, and they just bought it. But there is no printing, there's no artwork, there's no nothing. It's not branded, there's no theme. It's about as boring as a bag can get. So, a big fat 0. There is nothing on it. Does there need to be? Well, if you're proud of a product, you should really promote it and give it a brand image. You know, I do. Why not? So, packaging design. Very, very poor. I'm going to give them a big fat 0 for that. I think that's pants. Recyclable score. However, they do very well on that because this is just paper and it's not plastic lined, but it doesn't tell you it's recyclable. Now don't forget, most humans are lemmings these days, and if we don't tell them something, there's no common sense, they just don't know, so they throw it in the rubbish as opposed to the recyclable tin. So on here should be the recyclable symbol. Now if they'd bothered to do a design, some artwork on there, it wouldn't have cost any extra to put it on, but they haven't, and it hasn't got the recyclable symbol, which means it loses a point. Only 9 for this one. Post pie heartburn. It's way too early to tell, but I'm already feeling quite heavy. Right, let's crack on. And now I've spotted something inside. Something that I'm not... Oh, it's the egg there, look. Look at that, massive great egg yolk. I thought it was a tomato for a second. I hate tomatoes. That's actually pretty good. It's got a lot of cheese on there. Way too much cheese for me. Look at that. That's a lot of egg in a pie. And don't forget, eggs are a lot cheaper than beef. So you can see why they put it in. Still, if it was a really cold day, middle of winter, there's snow on the ground, and they do get snow here, and you're really hungry, you've been tramping across the half of New Zealand, you'd be very grateful for a Southern man pie, without any doubt. I wonder if it has any more surprises for us. Do I like eggs in my pies? Well, they do a bacon and egg pie as well over here in New Zealand, and to be honest, I'm not a fan. I'd much rather have bacon and egg butty as opposed to a pie. Maybe that's just because I'm English. But it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I've had a lot worse. It was really busy around here earlier on. And now pretty much everybody's gone, which is quite nice. Makes the video a lot easier. Oh my word. Got some spillage. Look at that, all the meat's just exploded out the side. That would be catastrophic if you were driving. Yeah, the meat's not the greatest quality, to be honest. It really is stewing meat. It's not as good as the Wild Bean Cafe ones. So, we've got a few scores to fill in here. Stuffability score. I am pretty stuffed already and there's still a bit more to go, so I'm going to give them a good score for that. I'm going to give them a 9. 10 would be absolutely bloated, not able to walk kind of stuff. So I think a 9 is a pretty fair score there. Pie server attractiveness. Well, I'm sorry to say we're down to a 4. We are. Yes. I was hoping for better, as always, but on this particular occasion my hopes were dashed. Now, what else have we got? Still tasty when cold. Well, it's getting pretty chilly. Just above ambient temperature. If I found this pie in my glove box and I'd bought it a few days earlier and it was stone cold, I would not be eating it. This is not a pie that you can eat cold. So, still tasty when cold? Not really. I'm going to give it a 2. Survival rations, yes. For pleasure? Definitely not. Right, so get rid of that greasy bag. Jeez. Post pie heartburn. Well, I always reserve the right to change these scores a bit further down the line because sometimes the old heartburn can kick in a couple of hours later, and you'll see it on the reviews in the workshop. You'll see the score might have changed slightly. However, at this point in time we've had no burps, no repeats, no nothing. It's staying down, which is really good for a pie. It's reassuring because heartburn spoils the occasion, doesn't it? So, oh no, that was water. Jeez, 1 off. That was definitely pie. So I'm going to give them a 9 for that. That wasn't too bad. Right, so let's take a look at the scores and see how it tallies up. Okay, so we've got a 7 and 9, that's 16, 25, 31, 39, 40, 44, 46, 55, 64, 73, 77. That's not so good. That's a pretty poor score, to be honest. It's not the worst, but it's not great. So we've done the Southern Man pie from Culverden, the bakery. It's not the greatest. I don't know what all the hype was all about. I've tasted much better pies than that, and ones that aren't as greasy. All that grease is most likely going to cause some heartburn further down the line, and that score of 77, it could well drop. At the moment, post heartburn is at 9. That could drop to 6 quite easily. So we'll have to just wait and see, and you'll find out when we put all the scores up on the leaderboard in the workshop. Right, crew, well, I've got to head further down the road to Hanmer Springs and get some admin work done. Then I'm going over to Nelson tomorrow morning. Early start it'll be. Hopefully I'll get out before the policemen get out of the bed. Yeah, there's lots of police around here. They really don't like people speeding over to Nelson, so I've got to take it nice and steady. Obviously, I drive very slowly all the time. Not very slowly, because that would cause an obstruction, but within the speed limits is what I'm trying to say. Most of the time. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, crew. Hopefully you've enjoyed this weird and wonderful video of, I don't know, assessing a pie here in the depths of New Zealand. And there'll be many more. Now don't forget, every Sunday morning we also do a pie review as part of the live stream. And next Sunday, I'll be back in the workshop. So I'll see you there. Cheers, crew. Over and out.
And you get the flip again.
Oh!